Hey everyone, today's review is on the movie Mean Girls. The new one, obviously. I reviewed the original one a few years ago around when I first started this channel. But anyway, yeah, this is my review for Mean Girls. And I don't think I should really explain the plot because it's a remake kind of, so there's really no need to explain. But for I guess the two people in the world who have never seen Mean Girls, I guess I should explain it. This girl named Katie, who was raised in Africa, is now living in America with her mom. Even though in the original movie she had two parents, but in this one she just has a single mother. Then she moves to high school, and she has a hard time fitting in as the new kid. And she meets this girl named Janice, who's this time is played by Ali Aluhi Aluhi Kriva Aluhi the girl who plays Moana. Uh, she she guides her throughout high school and what everyone's social profile is, and finds this group called the Plastics, who are led by Regina George. And she's sent to spy on the Plastics and report back to them because they're known for being such mean people that ruin lives. And at first, Katie thinks they're nice friends, but then she kind of really grows and sees the truth. And so she teams up with Janice to backstab them while also having a double life, kind of acting like a spy. And they discover a book that Regina had called the Burn Book, which is basically a bunch of insults, and they made about a bunch of people in high school, and they all start a riot, and a whole bunch of drama ensues while Katie tries to balance out her school life as well, because she's also kind of a school nerd. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I absolutely love the original Mean Girls movie. I do love it. It's one of my favorite comedies because it's one of those movies that no matter how many times I see it, I laugh every time. Cause so if a comedy can do that, then it's definitely got to be one of my favorites. It's really funny. It's definitely more smarter than the average teen comedy. Although I do enjoy a lot of teen comedies, but Mean Girls is really funny. But this movie, however, you know what? For a remake of one of my favorite movies, you think I'd hate it, but I guess then again, I liked the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, so and this movie was actually pretty good. Yeah, I actually had a genuinely fun time with this movie. I mean, is it as good as the original? What do you think? No, but I actually thought this movie was pretty fun. I had a really fun experience with it, and I did see Mean Girls technically in theaters because in 2019 I actually saw a re-release of it in a packed theater, surprisingly. So it was kind of fun. It was kind of felt like watching it for the first time, and I didn't quite get the same experience with this one because it's it's kind of a different movie, but it has the same plot. Like, obviously, with it being a musical, the style and overall vibe of it is definitely a lot more different. Like, this one definitely feels more theatrical. Like, it's it's more showy, it's more energetic, and there's a lot going for it. It's a movie that's pretty decent to see with a crowd. Um, and there is a lot of fun musical numbers. Like, you think a musical based on Mean Girls, it'd be pointless. It'd be like, oh, what's the point? Like, are they just gonna take a random scene and make a song around it? No, actually, I think a lot of the songs in this movie, well, I don't think I'll be remembering or humming them anytime soon, but they do flow very well with the story. They don't just say something and then just random song. I think it really bonds well with the story, and it kind of does it feels like a throwback movie of like teen musicals because you don't get much of those these days. So it kind of feels like a throwback to that while still being modern, because this movie, I know lots of people are probably going to hate this movie, saying my childhood is ruined because now it's a Gen Z Mean Girls. Well, to be fair, it's kind of like how when people complain about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles saying the turtles are now Gen Z, my childhood's ruined. you have to remember times change. As I and I've said time and time again, I hate the term timeless because nothing's timeless. If you actually watch the original Mean Girls, it's very 2004, but I mean that in a good way. Like it's a good throwback, but high school changes, teenagers changes every decade, so it's nothing new. And I think for a modernized teen movie, I do think it works well while not feeling too different from the first. Because obviously, it's about the whole plot of Mean Girls is about bullying and how what the negative consequences of it, and even not just at school, like it could lead to some even huger problems. So I think that still is a relevant topic in today's standards. I mean, they don't focus too much on cyberbullying. A lot of it is real life stuff because it's good to see, a teen film where they are actually aware that in real life teenagers actually do have lives and do hang out with friends. They're not just on their phones all the time. So I do like that they had a more realistic portrayal while still making the characters feel fresh and interesting. Uh, and and even lots of the teens are pretty good. Lots of them are even quite good singers. Heck, I think everybody really does a good job with their characters. I especially like the girl who played Karen. I actually did like how they changed her character in this. I mean, yeah, she was likable and funny in the original movie, but here they made her a lot stupider. They kind of made her really ditzy and clueless, and she's kind of the comic relief of the movie at times. And I actually liked how they made her different, but in a really amusing way. I know the stupid sidekick is a really cliche character type, but I think it was done pretty well here because you do get a lot of good laughs out of her. Uh, some of the jokes, and speaking of comedy, like lots of the jokes, of course, with it being a remake, are just the same jokes as the original. Although some of them I don't think are quite as funny. Not because, I've seen them before, but like some of the jokes are kind of changed and they don't really feel as funny. Like, that, I guess, spoiler if you haven't seen Mean Girls, but remember the part where Regina eats that protein bar that Katie gave her because Janice told her that she should give it to her because it would make her lose weight when in reality it makes you gain weight. Like when she says, "My mom used to give these to the kids in Africa to help them gain weight." In the original, Janice just has like a stupid grin on her face, going like, and then it just cuts, and then it shows Katie says, "This my mom used to give these to help kids lose weight." Like that's funny. Like you don't even really need to show much, but here she explains it. Like she literally just says like, "That's it. Why don't we use those things?" I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really make the joke as funny. I think lots of the times in comedies, I think humor's funnier when it's implied rather than just directly shown. And even Regina's freak out when she, although Regina's freak out in this movie, I think isn't quite as funny because when she said when she finds out that the bars make you gain weight like crazy, her freak out's more like zoomed out, like she's like ah! and then it just zooms out. Like that's not quite as funny as her just screaming. And like I love how in the original like she just screams and freaks out, like even when she's like when she's like cutting out the picture, like she's like ah! Like that's funny. But I guess if you have a great joke, you don't want to do it twice. So I guess I can see that. Although are some cases where the jokes are a bit improved, like when Katie's out on Halloween and she's dressed as an ex-wife. If you remember in the original movie, where all the girls are dressed very sexy, like, but in the original, just someone says, "Why are you dressed so scary? It's Halloween." But no, in this movie, she walks in and everybody is terrified of her. Like, I think that's funny. I think that's definitely because you get a lot more exaggerated comedy out of it. So there's times where some of the jokes are pretty good updates, and some of them aren't quite as good. But but you know what? That's kind of the thing with remakes. Some changes can work, but some changes are just not as good. Oh, and I guess if you're one of those those annoying people. I guess some of you are gonna freak out that Janice and Damien are now LGBT in this one because Janice is bi in this movie and Damien is outright gay instead of it being an implied joke like the original. I don't know if people are. I don't know what offends people these days anymore, but it didn't bother me. Like I said, it's been 20 years since the original movie came out, so obviously they're gonna update it by having a more modernized setting. So I didn't really have a problem with that. Uh, but yeah, and even the cast, like I said, is really good. Tim Meadows and Tina Fey do return from the original, however, and I think they're still good. Like you can still tell that they still have it in them as their characters. Like they retain almost the same personalities. Like even the only thing is that they just aged a little. That's right. Like the actors, like they still have their acting skills down, and I think they really feel like the same characters. And even some of the, like I said, lots of the new replacement actors they got are quite good. Like all four of, or yeah, four of the main girls. I think they're all quite good. Like Katie, the girl who plays Katie, I think she is really good for a younger actress. I don't think she's really in anything. I don't. There weren't much big names in this, so yeah. John Hamm plays Coach Carr, and it was nice to see him. He wasn't in the movie that much, but John Hamm is always good to see. Uh, Jenna Fisher plays Katie's mom, and yeah, she is funny. I did like seeing her. So it did have a lot of talent behind it. Like some, and lots of them are pretty good singers. Like obviously, none of them are really huge singers because I guess aside from the girl who plays Moana, but because obviously if you've seen Moana, you know the girl who plays her would be a good singer. But lots of them seem really talented, and I'd honestly wouldn't mind seeing them in more movies or even just Broadway style shows. So yeah, yeah, for a movie that didn't really need to exist, a remake technically that didn't need to exist, I had a fun enough time. I would never watch it over the original, but you know what? For a January movie, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard fan of Mean Girls, it's probably worth a watch. But if you haven't seen the original, well, I mean, I'm sure everybody has seen the original, but if you haven't, just watch it first. But if you want to see it, I'd say go for it. It's really not going to kill you. I think it's a fun watch if you love, flashy musicals or teen comedies, and or even if you love both, like me. It's a pretty good recipe for success. So, while not a great film, it's not even half as great as the original movie. I still did like it. So. Okay, and the trailers I got before this movie, um, I got Imaginary. Yeah, I still don't know about this one. It just looks like a cliched horror movie. Like, oh, a girl has like an imaginary friend as a teddy bear that tells her what to do, and there's a lot of bad stuff that happens. And of course, there's that moment you see a bear on a roller skate, like, and you're like, yeah, something's gonna jump. It doesn't really look scary. I mean, maybe it could be surprisingly good, but I have no interest in Imaginary really. Maybe it when it's on streaming, I might just watch it out of boredom, but I'm not sold on this one really. It looks bland. It doesn't really look that scary, so I don't have much interest in it. I got Madam Web. This, yeah, this looks pretty good. Yeah, some of the visuals could be a little better, like some of the lighting on the suits and stuff. It's not super good, but I do want to see it. It's good to finally have a superhero movie that isn't a typical Guardians of the Galaxy Thor Ragnarok style movie with a bunch of stupid humor ruining every single moment or having the plot lines and characters personalities being the exact same, and hopefully it could actually be respectful to the comics. So I hope Madam Web's good. So it looks pretty promising so far. Um, I got If. This I still think this movie looks pretty interesting. It kind of reminds me of like those old Disney movies, like I said, where it's like half live action, half anime, kind of like Mary Poppins or Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Pete's Dragon. It kind of reminds me of one of those, and the animation is quite good. Lots of the character designs are pretty fun and creative, and this could be a fun movie. I mean, John Krasinski did a great job directing with the Quiet Place movie. So hopefully he can be good at directing a different kind of movie. So I'm really interested in seeing this one. I got Bob Marley, One Love. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really a fan of Bob Marley, so I don't really have any strong interest in this. But I mean, if you're a fan of his music, I'm sure this will be a good watch. A, it looks like it could just be a good, interesting biopic. But I mean, I don't have anything against Bob Marley. I know he was just a guy who was just trying to bring peace to the world, and like as a guy, as a person, he definitely was a good man. But reggae music just isn't my thing. So I got Challengers. Yeah, again, yeah, a lot of these trailers are ones I already got before Beekeeper. But Challengers, it could be interesting. I usually do like sports movies, and Zendaya is usually good in a lot of stuff recently. I know she got her start on the Disney Channel. I only know that because my little brother used to watch Disney Channel all the time during when she was on it. And, despite that, like, she isn't some quite good stuff. Not everything she's in is good, but I think she is talented. So this could be interesting. And I do like tennis. I haven't played it in a long time though, but it should be cool to see a movie related to tennis. So yeah, I probably might check this one out. And I got Dune Part 2. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Bring it on already. Bring it on. There's only almost a month left. Like, geez, I really can't wait for this. So, yeah, Mean Girls, it's a pretty good remake for a movie that didn't need a remake in the first place. Like, I mean, I wouldn't go back and watch it too often, but like, cause I would definitely watch the original over it. But you know what? It was a good enough experience, and I would recommend it if you're a fan of the original, because it doesn't ruin the original. It's a bit different in some cases, but it still honors the original while being its own thing, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, Mean Girls, it surprisingly was good. At first, I wasn't really keen on the idea. I was like, I don't know about a remake of Mean Girls, but what the heck, I'll give it a chance. And I did have a fun time, so that's really all I needed. So, goodbye, everybody.